Hello everyone, welcome along to another video in our Essential Blues series in our Blues group. Thanks so much for watching. Today we're going to have a look at vibrato. Now this subject, the reason I haven't done a video on this before is because vibrato is not very easy to teach. With scales you can just show someone a scale, you know, and it's very easy to teach, very easy to learn, but with vibrato it's very much your own style and it takes a while to develop it and sound good, and no one has the same vibrato as you. It's kind of like a fingerprint on the guitar. So I can only show you how I can do it, and then you have to work on it yourself. All right, so let me give you a few pointers with vibrato. So vibrato is basically where you hear, for want of a better word, a wiggle at the end of a note, like a singer. So you know, you can do this a couple of ways. You can either play a note and not bend it. Here's a note, but if I wiggle that, so you're basically, you think of the note and you're moving it up and down to either side of that note. But if you go too much one way or too much the other way, if I go it goes out too little, and it can sound a bit like a demented cat. So you got to be quite careful with the vibrato. What I did was I listened to my favourite players. Chet Atkins, believe it or not, I loved his vibrato on the electric guitar. Listen to that. B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Listen to whoever your favourite player is and then see if you can kind of rip it off somewhat. Even if you try and do that, you're never going to sound the same. So here's what we will do. First advice I'll give you is turn off your reverb. All right, so let me go and do that now. I'll take my own advice. Come over here. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to play this kind of Gary Moore thing, Still Got the Blues. So So it's very tempting when you do vibrato to have your reverb on because it masks a lot, but turn it off and then you can really hear your sound. So let me show you this. So this Still Got the Blues is 14 on the G, 15 on the B, and then 17 bend up a half step to this 18 on the B. Now when I bend that note, there's the note. So you've got to get it the same pitch first of all. So make sure your bends are accurate. If they're not, slide to it first so you get the sound in your head. Okay. Now when you bend it. Now, once you get that note, that's the hard bit. You're letting the note down and up microtonally. And as you heard there, if I go too high up, it will sound like that for a while. And this is just going to take some time to get through, a bit like if you've worked through bar chords, you find you can't do it and then one day you pick it up and you can do it. This is the same kind of thing. So just carry on doing it. So you're back to 15. Okay, then we have 12 on the G, 12, 13, 15, and then bend 15 up to 17. Bit of vibrato, let down, pick and let down. Back to 13. Finally, 10, 12, 13, bend 13 up to 15. Back to 12. 10 on the B, 12 on the G, and then bend that up a whole step. So can you see with these bends, I'm adding some on that vibrato too, but wherever I add it, it still kind of sounds like my vibrato. it's got that sound, and you know, it's very difficult to change that. This is what I call is a slow vibrato. You can do a wider one, which we'll do in a sec. So if you played that with no vibrato, see, I can't do it. Can you hear the difference? It's just not singing, and it's a massive difference in your sound between sounding, you know, like a robot. Now let me play that with a bit of feeling. And the other thing to bear in mind here too is dynamics. Try not and play all of this stuff at one level. You want to vary how loud and soft you play it. I sometimes add these rakes too. A rake is where you're muting the top strings preceding the note you want to hit. So in this case, if it was 14 on G, I'm muting, and that G rings, and you can get some nice kind of throaty ideas. So in essence, you're taking a note and you're moving it each side of the note, not too much, not too little, unless you want a more aggressive vibrato, you know. So here's my normal one. If I wanted a bit more wider, there's a little exercise you can do, and I got this from a Steve Vai record because I love Steve Vai, where he there's a song he does called The Animal, where he plays which is quite a wide, crazy one, where you're really bending this 9 on the G down, so you can bend down to that 11th fret. So that's quite an interesting wide one I ripped off him. But yeah, when you're bending these strings, just remember you can bend up or down. The general rule is if you're on the E, B and G, you're bending up. And with these strings you're bending down. And the interesting thing with bending down is you get a completely different vibrato. See, it sounds, for me it sounds a little weirder, a little wilder. I'm a bit more accurate when I go, if I go down. See, it sounds a bit crazy. Maybe you want that type of effect. But it's just your body, you know, getting used to it really. But, you know, that has its uses. Sometimes I do bend down. But yeah, try that Still Got the Blues and see if you can add your vibrato to that. It's going to sound completely different than mine, which is good because you don't want to sound like anyone else. You want to be yourself. So take that, turn off the reverb and try and make your sound as beautiful as you can. Your goal is to try and make the audience cry. Try and make them cry with your vibrato. Imagine that, you know, you're at Wembley Stadium, you've got no effects. Someone has given you, you know, a horrible guitar, horrible amp, but you should still sound like you. So, you know, you've still got that vibrato going, and this is going to take a while to work on. Don't think you're going to pick this up in a week. I think it took me, I've got to say, a couple of years to get a vibrato that I was happy with, you know, and I liked. Now, you may hate my vibrato, and that's fine. But for me, it was something I worked on a long time, and you know, something I got that I like. So don't worry too much about what other people think of it, because it's what you like. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you've got any questions down below on vibrato. As I say, it's a difficult one to teach because you can learn the technique of it, but at the end of the day, it's what you like. But they're my suggestions. Turn off the reverb, turn off all effects, and just try and get your vibrato nice. And when you do, it's going to sound even better when you put the effects on. So hope that helps. Let me know how you get on. See you next time.